week's chapter of Bleach, Bazby, and Jugram Haschwalth are preparing to join the Stern Ritter army. This week's chapter was very simple, but it firmly established some very important things. First, Bazby is indeed the genius of this group. This is something that was hinted in the previous chapter, and I just didn't want to believe it, because Bazby he seems like the muscle of the group. He seems like he's going to be the guy that's going to rough you up in a freaking corner. And then you got Jugram Haschwalth, who apparently has no ability whatsoever. He can't use Reishi, he can't fire arrows, and he's not exactly the biggest badass that we've seen. However, the Quincy leader seems to have some weird, strange connection with this character, because by the end of this week's chapter, the Quincy leader arrives and he firmly establishes that Jugram is going to be his right-hand man, and that's because he's literally the other half of Ewok. I'm not quite sure what this means, if he's literally a physical part of his being, if he was something that was split from him, or if he's just trying to be all metaphorical and philosophical, because that's what the Quincy leader loves to do. He loves to throw people these crazy curveballs where they don't really know the straight answer to anything, and this is all going to make probably a little more sense when we get more of the backstory on the Quincy leader. However, there are some interesting things about this chapter. One, I love the fact that the actual Quincy army comes into town and announces that they're actually going to create the Stern Ritter army, and they're going to be having these tryouts for it, so to speak, and Bazby decides that his tryout is going to involve running down on this horseman and fighting him, and he immediately gets put to the dirt. Whether it be because of the actual Quincy soldier or the actual appearance of the Quincy leader is debatable, but I do love the fact that the Quincy leader actually uses his Reiatsu and his power to literally make people kiss the ground in the dirt. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that they really just can't withstand his power, and they have no choice but to get on the ground. It just makes him seem all the more ridiculous and overpowered, and I just love that final scene where it almost seems like Bazby believes that he's going to be the one who's going to be the right-hand man of the Quincy leader, and it'll give him the perfect opportunity to assassinate him. Unfortunately, it doesn't end up that way, and Jugram is the one who looks like he's going to end up being the right-hand man of the Quincy leader. What I think is most interesting about this development is just the fact that Haschwalth himself doesn't really seem to, care about, anything that's going on. Their whole vendetta against the Quincy King, he's completely freaked out over the fact that the Quincy leader chose him, and I really can't wait to see how the Quincy leader is going to get into his head and sort of manipulate him a little bit into tricking him to work for him. Either that, or maybe this has all just been a huge plan for Haschwalth. Maybe he's literally been hiding his immense power. Maybe this is all still a part of his plan to somehow assassinate him. And of course, everybody has already made the comparison, the fact that Jugram and Bazby, their whole story, is very similar to Ichimaru Gin, a character who was seen originally in Bleach and just sort of fell off the side of the series eventually, and I really hope it doesn't go in that direction, because that was a really cool character, and the fact that we're not really going to see him anymore and they're not doing much with him makes me believe that they might just toss these characters to the wayside, but we're going to have to wait and see that. Otherwise, this was still just a very simple chapter of just two friends who are in this crazy situation, and we're getting to see how they joined the Stern Ritter army. I'm not sure how Bazby's going to get involved. He's probably going to try and run up to the Quincy leader and probably end up getting his ass handed to him, but we're just going to have to wait and see in the next chapter. So what's the rundown on this week's chapter of Bleach? Just very simple. I just don't have that much to say. This is another one of those chapters that, it goes well with the last one, but it's more of just an extension of the last. Just getting to see the two friends working together and then meeting the Quincy leader, I thought that was pretty cool, especially with that one haughty Quincy soldier. That guy was such a douchebag and really had it coming, and I was really sort of hoping that Bazby was going to shut him up, but with the appearance of the Quincy leader, that's just not always going to work out. I also like learning a little bit more about the Quincy leader's rule and how he sort of subjugates his kingdom and everything. That's just, it almost doesn't even seem like it belongs in Bleach. This seems like a scene from a completely different series, although we do need to realize this is an event that took place a little while ago, so that's something that we can accept. Otherwise, great chapter, pretty good artwork. I love the fact that we're learning a little bit more about Haschwalth. I can't wait to see how he's going to be manipulated by the Quincy King, or if he has some crazy plan to assassinate him himself. Otherwise, this was an okay chapter. So I'm going to give this one right here a 3 out of 5. Check it out, Bleach fans. It was pretty good. So I thought this was an okay chapter of Bleach, but what about you guys? Did you read this week's chapter? What did you think about the development of Haschwalth and Bazby? How do you think Jugram is actually going to be manipulated by the Quincy King? Do you think he's actually going to turn on him? Please tell me your comments and theories in the comment section below, and what you hope to see from the final arc of Bleach. Thank you guys for watching my review. Make sure to like it, share it with all of your friends, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. That way you can see all of our latest anime and manga reviews. You guys can also follow us on social media. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby.